ju dan den par ju che dung ha re ji ju dan da wa re ju che dung ha me pe de wa dam pa dam man da wa re ju che nye ren cha dan dan da we dan yan shan pa la ne pa ju re che san shan dan she de wa dan de we ju dan den pa ju che dung ha re je ju dan da wa re ju che dung ha me pe de wa dam pa dam men da wa re ju che nye ren sha dan dan da we dan yon shan po la ne pa ju re che sen sen dan she de wa dan de we ju dan den pa ju che dung ha re je ju dan da wa re ju che dung ha me pe de wa dam pa dam man da wa re ju che nye ren cha dan da we dan yan shan pa la ne pa re ju re che. Voilà, so today we will look into what are called the four thoughts that help to change the mind around and turn the mind towards Dharma. Dharma meaning the way, the methods to liberate ourselves from our sufferings. You know, whether it's physical, mental, emotional suffering. So those four thoughts are foundations. You know, like for some of you who were here last night, we saw how important it is to have strong foundations. If you are trying to build something, you need good foundations. Otherwise, you might build something very beautiful and very something that looks extremely sophisticated even, and yet it will fall apart easily when obstacles come, any kind of obstacle. So the foundations are absolutely essential, and so those four thoughts are extremely useful and necessary, and they are not just they're called preliminaries, but like I was saying last night, preliminary doesn't mean that you look at it once and you understand it and then you say to yourself, okay, pass on to the next thing. But it's actually because it is foundations, then it has to be reminded and deepened and strengthened all the time, all the way through your practice and all the way through life. And actually, as you go along, and we'll see through while going through each one, you'll see how your everyday life actually and your experiences over time strengthen those thoughts and deepen them. And as you go along, you recognize how important they are, and how they allow for the practice also to come to fruition in a much deeper way. So Okay, so we start now. There are those four there's four thoughts. So the first one is about recognizing and appreciating and being grateful for having been born human, in a precious human birth, it's called. Then the second is looking into impermanence, the nature of our existence being impermanent. Then the third one is about causality, the law of causality, and nothing comes on its own without a cause, and so the interdependence of everything. And the fourth is about the suffering that's inherent to our emotional states and our mental states, and how it creates our basic sufferings of existence. So we start now with precious human birth, and so human birth, being born human, is considered as one of the best possible kind of incarnation. So to pursue enlightenment, to pursue liberation. So they talk in the precious human birth. They talk about the 8 freedoms and 10 assets and 18 unfavorable conditions. So we'll go through that in an hour. It's a bit short, but I'll just give you an outline, and then you can carry on from there. So in Dharma, in the Buddhist outlook, we are told about 6 realms of existence. And so there are 3 lower realms and 3 higher realms. How to understand that is for us is a little kind of difficult sometimes, So we talk about hell realms, about hungry ghost realms, the animal realm, the human realm, the jealous gods realm, and the gods realm. So those are realms that can be understood on many levels. When I asked Trungpa Rinpoche, do those realms actually exist apart from this realm that we are in, apart from the human realm? Are they really existent? And he said yes. So, but at the same time, it's not necessarily from a material point of view, but everything from a Dharma point of view, everything comes from mind. Everything is mind. So sometimes a way to understand it is to consider it as a mental state, different states of mind that create, extreme conditions. So in any case, they talk about hell realms that are the consequence of extreme anger, rage. So that can be understood also, when if we can put ourselves in the shoes of someone who is totally overwhelmed by rage, and what kind of state that is, and carry on from there to envisage someone who cannot get out of that, who is totally bound in that realm. So that I would consider this as a hell realm. And so, there is ways to try and look at it. Those realms are so powerful that they give you the impression that you cannot get out. You are stuck. You are imprisoned. There are different stages of imprisonment, in a way, of the mind. So one of the things that we should rejoice in as being born human is that we are not in that state. We're not in a hell realm as such. So, and they say also we should rejoice that we haven't been born straight away. We're not caught in the hungry ghost realm, which is also great suffering of being in a total craving mode where nothing will be satisfaction, will bring any satisfaction, and it's great suffering. So, and then we are not in the animal realm either. So some people kind of find that a bit difficult because they feel it's unjust on animals. You know, why not? Some people tell me, I'd love to be my cat. But that's very sweet. But it's not really sound either. It's not really, when you consider the imprisonment of the animal realm, is that, compared to the human realm, the animal realm is much more imprisoned. It's much more caught up in conditioning. It's completely conditioned, and it doesn't really have much room for change, for breaking out of the conditioning. This is the thing. We're considering, what is so precious about human birth in terms of liberation, in terms of breaking out of mental, emotional conditionings. And so, from that point of view, then being human is a real asset, because we have possibilities. We have possibilities of breaking through our conditionings. So we are not either born in the God realm, and there again, you could think, wow, that sounds really good, being a god. You got all the luxuries, you have everything at your hands. You can all your wishes come through like with snapping your fingers, and you live an extremely long time. What's wrong with that? That sounds pretty good. But the thing is that because of impermanence, at one point or another, in a very long time, but at one point, that will stop, and the fall is extremely painful. So that is not a very good idea either. Also, because of the beauty of it and the luxury of it, there is great attachment to it. So that's another type of imprisonment. It's a kind of like a golden cage, but it's still an imprisonment. It's not liberation. So another one of those freedoms we have, is being born in a place of barbarians. They call it barbarians. So barbarians, we can interpret it as a place where there is no such thing as even the notion of spirituality, where relationships are rough and violent, and that there is not even a notion of liberating ourselves. So then there is another freedom, is the freedom from being in a realm or in a places where people are enjoying wrong views, they say, saying wrong views, meaning from a Dharma point of view, meaning either being extremely, let's say, blinded by eternalism or nihilism. So either having the wrong view of things being there forever, or being in a state where nothing exists at all. So those two extremes of thinking, of thought. So that is called, wrong views. So if we're born in either one of those extreme notions or concepts, and that can be difficult to have a correct view, because from the Dharma is all about the middle way, as we don't fall into either eternalism, where nothing or everything exists forever, or nihilism, where nothing exists at all. We are here to look above, beyond that, beyond those and this duality. So then also they say we are lucky to be born as humans in a world where there has been a Buddha, where there has been teachings, where there is that possibility of having methods for evolving and breaking through and liberating ourselves. So we are lucky to have had in this era such a person as Shakyamuni, who has offered us amazing methods to help ourselves. And then the last one of those 8 freedoms is we must be really grateful if we are born without physical or mental disabilities that makes it impossible to practice Dharma or to even understand it, or so that is also something we must rejoice in. So it's those 8 freedoms are really about gratitude and appreciation, because it is true, I know for myself, when I'm not well, or and I get depressed about one thing or another, and then I lost track of that, and so it's very important to remind ourselves always, even if we are sick, even if we are depressed, even if everything seems to be going wrong, we are still human. We are still having possibilities. We still have ways out. We still have choice. Like I was saying yesterday, the one thing we have as humans that, for example, animals don't have is we have a choice. And so at any given time, whatever the circumstances are, whether, outer circumstances, inner circumstances, whatever is happening, we have a choice on how we are going to deal with the situation. And that's amazing. That's actually empowering. So we must always remember that. Oftentimes when we are not well, especially when we're suffering from one thing or another, we tend to fall into a kind of a victim mode, And then when we fall into that, we've lost our power. We've lost that view, that vision that we have a choice, that we can look at things in a different way. And then, like we can see in the lives of the great siddhas and the great masters, any situation becomes a good situation to practice and to help liberate ourselves. I've met, I often say that because that has been extremely important for me, is the meeting, people like Sanjit Tenzin Rinpoche, or people from who spend like 25 years in labor camps, in China, and to see how they dealt with it. Not a sign of blame or poor me kind of attitude, but a complete joy all the time. And there was one master who came to Samyuling, Khenpo Trorutsenam. Trorutsenam, he was very learned in the tantras of medicine. And apparently, during his whole time in the camps, where he was really, those were very heavy times, with torture and humiliations, etc. He managed, because he had he had learned all those tantras by heart, he could actually teach it to the other monks, to the people who were in the camp with him, all through his time. So the lineage was carrying on, in the most incredible the hardest situations. So that's what Dharma can be like. We don't have to think as victims. We can be masters of our situation if we have that strength, of course. So that is the advantages of being human in that situation. So then that's what they call the 8 freedoms. Then there is the 10 advantages, what they call the 10 advantages. So they are divided in two parts. That is the 5 riches, or the 5 advantages that are that are ours, that are inner advantages for in our life. Is we have the advantage of the support, which is being born human. So value our body, value how much this body can do, and that includes the brains. Brains is the quartier général, the general quarters for the body. So to value, how much we can do with this body is quite an amazing machine, and that allows us, these brains kind of give us trouble, but they are also making us able to deal with obstacles better. It has that creative kind of quality that can help to deal, like I was saying, to deal with obstacles, to deal with hard circumstances. And we have also, this human birth makes it possible also to value our behavior, the vows, our vows of correct life, correct interaction with others. Like we'll see later with the chapter on karma. And this is something that human birth can really emphasize and bring to fruition. So they say that, for example, the God realm doesn't have so much that emphasis on Shila, on pure behavior and pure conduct. So this is an asset also for us. So this is the first asset that's intrinsic to us. The ground, the locality. Locality is to be born in an area where Dharma is available. So, even though here or in Europe, it was not such before, but now it is. And so we can rejoice also and that we have this opportunity. And it's being taught now. That's remarkable that we have this capacity to learn. And so this is something to be really happy with. Also, then the third aspect, the third advantage, is having all our senses working well. If we do have our senses working well, we should rejoice and not complain that this or that. It's an amazing ability we have when all our senses are there. It's when one of your senses, stops working. That's when you find out how important they are. I noticed that with the COVID, when I couldn't smell anymore. And you think smell is not that important. But suddenly I was really kind of totally unsettled. Something was definitely missing. And I realized then, when I didn't have it, how important it was for my bearings. It was a reference point that I had never realized was so important. How much I used it, actually. I didn't know until I lost it. So, when people cannot hear or cannot see, how important it is, so to be really kind of very appreciative of that. So they say also that it is important to have intention in the sense that we have this ability to recognize good from evil or positive from negative. That we can it is easy for us, and it's very also lucky if we are born in a family where that is taught, that how important it is to live correctly, not to kill, not to lie, not to all those different aspects of life, and the negative. So that to understand that, to be aware of all the toxic ways that people can fall into, that we are aware of that we are actually brought up in a proper way. So it's something to rejoice in if that is the case, that we have been brought up with that, and we have this habituation to think in a positive way. And then the last one of those intrinsic riches or advantages is confidence, truth in the Dharma, and so that we do have trust and faith in the Dharma rather than in other kind of types of methods. Like when they talk about, of course, from a Tibetan point of view, because these are taken from Buddhist texts, and then it's a society where people could also trust, what would you say, magic rituals, and superstition, let's say, like go and be put our trust in the Dharma rather than superstitious ways, like astrology, for example, when it is low grade, there is astrology that can be quite useful and pertinent, but oftentimes, any kind of system like that encourages naivety and ignorance in a way, the superstitious mind, really, because Dharma is not about blind faith, like I was saying yesterday. It's about intelligence, and it's about being able to think for ourselves and investigate and reflect, not to take everything like that at face value. So any kind of system that encourages a superstitious mind is not a good idea from a Dharma point of view. So then if we are lucky enough to not fall into superstition, then that is an advantage, and so on. So then you have extrinsic advantages, which is the outer advantages of being born human, is that you have the advantage of the instructor, the teacher. And in our case, then that's Shakyamuni. So Shakyamuni, we are lucky to be born in that kalpa, this era, where, Shakyamuni offered these teachings. So the second of these advantages is the teaching of the Dharma, which is called profound, profound and vast. That's how it is described. And so it's beyond what we conceive of. It's so vast, and it makes it's beyond our own imagination. And the essential nature of Dharma is about, completely beyond characteristics. They say, so that's why we need a teacher. That's why it has to be taught and practiced. So then the third aspect is the time. So we are at a time where the Dharma is still being taught. So that is something to rejoice in. At the same time, they divide the time from the time of the Buddha onwards. That there slowly there has been a degeneration. And so at first, when the Buddha was alive already, most, his disciples just, kind of came to Buddhahood, had this real realization, in one lifetime, just being with the Buddha. Then afterwards, the accomplishments were less and less, they're more sparse until now, and apparently now we are kind of at and it's interesting how they mention it, because they call it, we are at a time of the 5 degenerations, which is, and the 5 degenerations, it seems to, it rings true, unfortunately, but they describe, because this is coming from 2,000 years ago, 2,600 years ago, but they say that there will be a time when the nutrients of the earth, the food, and will be go down. So the food will not have as much nutrition, and that's what's happening now. We are at a time where we need to eat much more to get the nutrition we need compared to before. So there is a poverty of on nutrition, and also they say there will be degeneration of life. There will be new forms of disease, and that's quite interesting. Also, they will say there will be a degeneration of faith. And they, as they say, they describe it that even Getsuls, which means the monks, life monks, will be incapable of keeping their vows. So there will be less and less virtue, let's say. So this, unfortunately, seems to be the case. And then emotions. There is the degeneration of emotions, when the negative emotions will be on the rise and will be more powerful and will be stronger the kleshas, the negative emotions, will get stronger in lay people. So the first, the one before was about nuns and monks. How they don't keep their vows so much as before. And then for the lay people, then their negative emotions are on the rise. And also that all sentient beings, including animals, the bodies will be weaker. The strength of the body will be weaker. So these are called the 5 degenerations. So we don't want to get too depressed here, but I'm just sharing what was in the text, So, and it's quite striking in a way that it describes really what's happening now, unfortunately. So anyway, still, despite that, we have this this good fortune of having the Dharma and being able to practice it. So that's the main thing. So that's the fourth of those advantages, extrinsic good advantages. That's we have luck. We have luck that we can at all times re-evaluate our perceptions. That we have this ability to change. That nothing is completely lost ever, because at any given time, even on our deathbed, there is still a possibility of having realization, of having an insight, of having a flash of insight. So this is wonderful, that we have this ability to change and to re-evaluate our motivation, and that the Dharma is not about just having a cool time, just having it easy, but it's about insight. It's about a clear mind. It's about open heart. So, and that there is always a possibility. We cannot say that nobody, even the worst monster, has this possibility in his lifetime to change, to open up, to break through. So this is the beauty also of Dharma, that and that kind of allows us also to stop having too much judgment about ourselves or others, because that Buddha nature, or that capability of insight and of liberation is there in all of us. Whoever we are, or whatever we are, whatever our story, whatever our conditions. So this is something to really remember also, And then another advantage is compassion. So that the sublime compassion. So our teacher, our master, whoever he is or she is, and is there to help us, to open the heart, and to develop in a way where the teacher is important, is that he helps to develop humility. A good teacher tells you off. He doesn't make things easy necessarily. He's not there to pat you on the back. He's there to help release the sense of self-importance in many ways, Like we are here to empower ourselves in terms of enlightenment, empower ourselves to know our potential, our potential to liberation. not to increase our self-importance, because self-importance is sure suffering, is a cause of suffering rather than liberation. So the teacher is there oftentimes to make the difference, to remind us of the difference between self-importance and trust in our potential. It's two different things, and sometimes there is confusions there. So it's important the teacher can break through that, kind of cut through that, So that's because for ourselves, if we are alone with it, we might not see the difference. That's important to the importance of the teacher, because he sees better, of course, being outside, he can see where we are actually caught, so we need to value our existence, to value our precious human life, but not develop infatuation with self and I. That's a different matter. That the Dharma is there to actually subdue that I and self, and to become truly humble. Teachers, like we have known Akong Rinpoche, for example, they are humble by nature. They are naturally humble. It's not that they are trying to be humble. The humility comes from that release of mundanity. The release, not being anymore concerned with what is called the eight worldly dharmas. The eight worldly dharmas are connected really with our self-importance. And I can't go through this now in great detail, but the eight worldly dharmas I find very important, very useful as well. It's kind of like being caught in a preference of, with pain and pleasure. For example, preferring pleasure to pain, gain or loss, So being really overjoyed when we gain something, or being really depressed when we lose something, so gain and loss. Praise and blame. So that's also, we can check ourselves, when somebody criticizes us, are we really hurt? And when we're blamed, do we go into a real kind of bad mood because it's unjust? We shouldn't be blamed like that. The world is against us, etc. So there is praise and blame. And the other one is fame and rejection, from society. So being puffed up by fame and or being really destroyed by being rejected from society. It's quite painful, So those eight worldly dharmas are gauges in a way to know where are we in that, in those eight situations. Can we keep an even keel? Can we actually keep a quiet mind with those different circumstances or not? So I find that very useful to check on myself. Where am I at this moment in time? So that's also, the teacher does that, but ourselves, we can also use those eight worldly dharmas as a teaching, to check on ourselves, where are we free from those states? They're called the mundane dharma. That's the mundane mind. So that's the advantages. And then there are the 16 unfavorable conditions. So I'll go through that quickly. But, so the first of the eight unfavorable conditions that are connected with circumstances in our life is having too great an intensity of the 5 poisons. So if we have too much pride, and how to learn to deal with it. So it's all about really recognizing how we are, knowing ourselves better. So they say if you are proud, try and learn to be discreet and take a low seat. If you have jealousy, try to keep a positive mind, and if you have envy, be generous. So it's ways of counteracting, they're learning to counteract your habitual patterns, basically, If you have too much anger all the time, if you're angry all the time, develop patience, tolerance. And if you have desire, they say contemplate what is not desirable. I mean, the idea is if you, this is, looking at someone, like especially for the monks, they had this kind of this method of looking at a female body and looking inside the body, looking at what the body is made of. So, and of course, it's not so palatable, is it? It's not so desirable. And it's the same for women too, the women same, you desire a man and you just think of what's inside that body, and you see. So that's one way to deal with desire. But it can go also to other things, sometimes I've seen myself desire something, from a distance. And then when I get close, suddenly, it's really, there's not really much there, So it's kind of like taking the time to get over the flash of desire and really look, what am I desiring there, and so this is that condition of having one of those poisons very predominant, and being really strong. So the second is having a slow intellectual mind, slow intellect. Like I was saying earlier, Dharma requires intelligence. So we have to boost our intellect also, to work better, to be more active and more bouncy. And so they say if you have a slow intellect, then practice Manjushri mantra or Dodhisampa mantra. There are ways, to deal with it. So then the third is being under the influence of a wrong guru, of a false guru, or fake guru. Then they say, leave him. That's the method. Leave him. Fourth is having too much laziness. Laziness. So being too laid back, in a way. Being too nervous is wrong, but being too laid back is also a problem. So they say then contemplate death and impermanence, and the four thoughts, like we are going through now. And the fifth is the force of negativities. So having one bad thing after another, so when the kind of negativities that kind of make you lose faith in the Dharma, you think, I seemed to be okay before, but since I've started practicing, it's getting worse and worse, So I think I'll leave it, So no, this is not one. That's not the way to do it. And they say again, practice Doji Samba, because they say that if we are in that kind of state of mind, it's often due to past events. Whether in this life or in other lives, it's karmic consequences, and so we shouldn't lose faith. We should think, that we are clearing up. We have to clear up patterns from the past, so that we're not so influenced or worried about those negativities. They are just passing, and we'll sort it out. And they're not there forever. So, and then the sixth is to be under the domination of someone who prevents us from practicing the Dharma. So if we are a slave to someone in one way or another, so, and they advise to leave, to try and untangle ourselves in a soft way, a skillful way, not abruptly, but to find a way out somehow. Once we recognize that, not to allow that. Like they say, don't lose your nose rope to another. That's how they describe it. So autonomy is extremely important as a practitioner. Have to develop autonomy. Seventh is a wrong motivation in practicing the Dharma. So, it's that's also part, in a Tibetan kind of social setup, is that being a monk or a nun could be an easy way to have money, to have food and shelter. So that shouldn't be our reason, our motivation for practicing the Dharma. It's not very deep conviction. So, but it does happen, because you're sure then in those situations to be fed at least and to have clothes and shelter. And then those E8 is also kind of wrong motivation, when the motivation is about prestige, honors, fame, material goods. So it's very limited motivation. So those are unfavorable conditions that are connected to this life, and then that can be connected. And then 8 other conditions that are due to incompatibility with the Dharma. Which is, obstacles, real obstacles that are more difficult to deal with, in a way. Like, first one is family and affection, kind of attachment, familial, attachment to family or friends, in a way of when it becomes an obstacle. Not that we shouldn't love our friends and our family, of course. That's not the point. The point is when this attachment is such that it creates an obstacle to practice. So that's up to us to know where we stand in that. So they say if that obstacle is extremely strong and solid, is to remember and to contemplate impermanence and the notion of voidness, that nothing is real, so that's a way to counteract that. And so the second condition that is really difficult is to be extremely evil, extremely evil. And actually, Jalsit Tomi, who was a great teacher in Kadampa tradition of the Lojong, said that for somebody like that, it's not even a good thing to teach the Dharma to such a person, because the Dharma then could be totally misunderstood. So that's one obstacle. Then the third condition that is unfavorable there is to be indifferent to the descriptions of suffering of samsara. Like we'll see that this afternoon. But that when you describe the hell realm or the sufferings of the animal realm, or you're not. It doesn't really impress on anything on you. You're totally indifferent. It means a closed heart, basically. So, and also a lack of understanding of what suffering is about. So then they say it's important then to go deeper into those descriptions of suffering. The fourth is having no faith, no trust in the Dharma or in the teacher. So there again, kind of contemplate and think and deepen the understanding of the qualities of Dharma and the extreme kindness of the Master. So the fifth is to take pleasure in toxic actions, in negative actions, things that hurt others. So there they say, if you are in that kind of state of mind, then think of the karma consequences of having such a mind. The sixth is no interest in the qualities of Dharma. Like Patrul Rinpoche, one of the great teachers of the 19th century, says, having no more enthusiasm for the Dharma than a dog would have to chew grass. It's kind of like indifference, lack of interest. So that's an obstacle, of course, in this situation. Seventh is to break our vows. So vows in this case is not necessarily just monastic vows. It's also it's mostly bodhicitta vows, which means this vow of realizing enlightenment, not just for ourselves but for all beings. There's this vow of bodhicitta. So that's not breaking that, just losing the interest and not following anymore, the behavior that goes with it. So it's putting an impairment on our path. It's an obstacle. And then the eighth is to break our samaya. So samaya is actually what links us to our teacher and to our brothers and sisters in the Dharma. So there is a link. There is like I was saying last night, the importance of Sangha. When we take refuge also in the Sangha. And Sangha means, we have a link. We are connected in a very positive way. So whatever we do that is harmful to the teacher or to our brothers and sisters brings obstacle to us. Actually, we are the ones who are actually injuring ourselves by doing that. So these are, so we saw there is 8 freedoms, 5 advantages that are within, inner advantages, 5 outer advantages, and we had 8 conditions, unfavorable conditions that are connected to, our life now, and 8 conditions that are unfavorable. Now, when on a longer, for a longer time, there is a certain situation that seems to be quite, like seems to keep on going. So these are the different aspects of contemplation for the precious human birth. So this, you should try and deepen that and look into it, see where some of it hits home more than others, and work with that. And I find that sometimes even the ones that didn't seem to hit home, actually, maybe yes, they kind of were in the background. So it's so important to bring them to the front, to see where it concerns me, so that's the job there, is to really go through it again and again and recap, basically. And so that's the teachings on the precious human birth. So for helping with that, Kong Rinpoche encouraged us to use a book by this teacher I was talking about earlier, called Patrul Rinpoche, who is a great teacher, was a formidable kind of person in the 19th century. And there is a book, and it's called The Words of My Perfect Teacher. Yes, and that's and he goes into much detail about those 4 thoughts. So then it can give you a support, for your contemplations. You can take 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs and kind of then, contemplate. Like I was saying yesterday, first you read a paragraph, and then you check your mind, you check your life, you check where am I, in regards to this paragraph, and then you let go and you just meditate. You just let this information seep in and just be free, free your mind, but let that information be assimilated and so that the words of my perfect teacher is extremely good, and Rinpoche was so keen on that, so keen. And otherwise, there are modern teachers who also help with those 4 thoughts. But there's Mingyur Rinpoche, who produced that book that's called From Confusion to Clarity, and that also takes into account those 4 thoughts. So it's I think those 2 books are quite, they help each other, they're complementary in a way, because you have the traditional view of this Patrul Rinpoche talking, and teaching to 19th century, people in Tibet, and you have Mingyur Rinpoche talking to us now in the 21st century. And I think it's quite nice to have both approaches. So so maybe we leave it here, and we come back at 11:30.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 10 past, no?
Yeah. It was supposed from 11 to 11:30.
Yeah. Do you want we 11:40? I mean,
You decide.
I decide. Well, time for a cup of tea. Voila. And then we try to come back for 11:30. If it's 11:40, I'm not bothered. I don't mind at all. So, okay. Then we'll look into impermanence after this, so it's okay. We're safe.